But the thing that used to get to me is all on one row, we small farmers had our little cute little stands, and across the way, the whole way was this big resellers. I don't know how many spots they had, and it just looked gorgeous. They had, things tipped over and the vegetables pouring out. It just looked beautiful. And then they had a cash register where you went and paid for everything that you had picked up. Same as a supermarket, exactly the same. And so I'd ask the people who came by our little stand, any that were brave enough, why would you, shop there instead of here? And it turns out that they were nervous about talking to us, the farmers. Nothing to do with the produce or anything. They just didn't want the embarrassment or something to talk to us and then turn down our vegetables or whatever.
So we wanted to have a market that was for local farmers, and that's what that market is.
So did you, when you were going around and had the idea to start the market, did you have to approach a lot of other farmers, or were they sort of already people that you knew that might be interested in a new market?
Yeah, a lot of the other farmers, maybe younger farmers there, were more keen on that idea. Not all of us were really young.
I was involved from the very beginning, 1997. So the first year I was there with vegetables and annuals. And then from there on, the second year I became market managers like you.
I think that Peterborough and the Kawarthas has a very rich agricultural tradition, and there's always been sort of a market in this region that helps people get their products from the farms to the tables. And well over 100 years ago, the market hall was aptly named because that's where the original Peterborough Farmers Market was at the base of sort of where that clock tower stands today.
In those days, every farmer had a garden for themselves and their families, and so we just enlarged the garden and started selling on the Saturday market. And then that was such a hard go, partly because of what they're going through now on the Saturday market, the large...
Explain that to me a little bit.
The large producers, and they didn't really produce anything. They just bought stuff at the food terminal in Toronto and brought it to the market and laid it out so beautifully, and people felt like they were in a supermarket. They weren't prepared for buying at a market from small guys, and so we had a hard time getting rid of them. They had been kind of grandfathered into the market. Some other vendors from that Saturday market, myself being one of them, we got together and talked about how we could get rid of the big guys, and we realized we couldn't. So we just started a market on our own.
We started that market because we wanted only local grown. So every farmer that's here we went to visit them to see what they were doing, and felt comfortable to bring them to a market.
I was at the other market there, the Saturday one, and Mona was gonna retire from growing cauliflower and broccoli and all that, and she saw that I did it, so she wanted a young farmer in there to replace her.
And do you find, is there anything like unique about this market, or that things that you really like being involved in this market because of?
It's smaller. Everybody seems to know everybody. Friendly atmosphere.
Some amazing people involved with getting it started. There was a couple of students, myself, Peter Andre, and then we worked with Joan Smith and a few other women in the area, mostly women farmers actually, who started putting that market together. It was really quite fun. It was great to get the idea going of really having a producers only market. Like that was the key idea, is that because 20 years ago this whole concept of local food wasn't in the media, it wasn't being talked about, it was just, we were just talking food, right? And so these women, particularly these women, really were forward thinking about needing to make sure that the local producers in your local area are being supported, and the way to do is that was to make sure that it was clear where food was coming from and to really localize that food distribution system.
We were just striking into new ground, and we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have a spot for the market. We just had an idea that the small growers needed a spot of their own where they would show up. So somebody said, why don't we just have it on the street? Which was fantastic. It took a lot of time to figure out how to do that, but I think it worked well.
See, this is our truck. It was the back of it. That's Ivan. This is Bruni's truck. Taste of Russia. Oh, we started the first season and that. We did flowers and some vegetables, and as the years go on, you expand.
Can you tell us a little bit about sort of the market at that time and how it's changed over the years?
Oh, it was pretty quiet the first few years, but then all of a sudden it just took off, and it's history now.
I mean, the Wednesday market's changed a lot, and I think the move it made 7 years ago or so?
I think 8 when I first started. Yeah.
years ago has been good because it let the market expand, have more vendors, and I mean, to be truthful, it's really starting to rival in sales the other market in town, and that's amazing because it's on a Wednesday, not a Saturday, and it's all local farmers.
That's amazing.
And local farmers can support a market.
This market's grown so much in 20 years.
Absolutely.
And that's great. And the support for it as well has grown, which is amazing too, because people are really getting on board, knowing that where people spend their dollars makes a difference in those people's lives, right? So really tracing that money back and where does that money go into our community and who does it support?
Do you know how many vendors you had when you first started, approximately?
I can't remember exactly, but it was short. It was short and sweet. Maybe 20.
Right.
Because there was a much
50 stalls, so that's incredible.
And a lot of those people are still here and still involved with doing markets. So yeah, it's really fantastic.
Well, I kind of grew up at the Saturday market there, and about the time I was 16 or 17, I got my driver's license and I wanted to kind of expand and do my own thing, so I started into the Wednesday market when it was over on Charlotte Street there. And then we left this market when I was about 22 or so. Dad passed away and I just got busy taking on the farm, and we let this market go. But then we came back when it moved over here to Lewis Street, about 2 or 3 years after it moved, I think was the details there.
We've gone away from chickens and livestock and more into vegetables and flowers.
Right.
But we want to get back into chickens.
Oh, okay.
I miss my chickens.
Okay.
So you can get food and you can get organic material, you can get meat, you can get vegetables, all in one little area in the center of town.
It's very, very family oriented. Everybody knows each other. We talk to each other. It's very unique. I think it's a jewel of our community, this market.
It's a little bit about supporting your local economy. It's a little bit about getting the best possible products you can. And it's also a little bit about learning about your agricultural system and some of the struggles that these farmers are facing to bring food to your table, because it's not an easy job. And the more you get to know them, I think more people have an appreciation for just how hard that is and how valuable it is for you to be supporting them as a whole.
For me to be a farmer, you've got to get your hands in the soil and feel the farm.